Welcome to the Kentucky Public Service Commission's annual briefing on the cost of natural gas during the upcoming winter heating season. At this point, it appears that gas prices will continue to be relatively stable, as they have been for the last 2 years. This presentation will review the structure of the natural gas industry, the manner in which gas prices and gas delivery rates are set, how the natural gas market functions, the forecast for the coming winter, and some steps consumers can take to reduce energy consumption and manage their heating bills. The natural gas industry has 3 major components. The first is the producers and the processors. The wholesale prices that they receive for natural gas are unregulated. The interstate pipeline companies, which transport gas from where it is produced to where it is used, are federally regulated with rates set by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. The local distribution companies, or LDCs, are generally subject to state regulation by state commissions such as the Kentucky Public Service Commission. Natural gas rates mirror the 3-part structure of the industry. There's a distribution system cost, a pipeline delivery cost, and a wholesale price. The distribution system component of the gas rate is the only portion of the total gas bill which includes a profit for the local gas company. The distribution system component reflects the cost of delivering gas to consumers. Thus, it includes operation and maintenance costs, customer service costs such as billing and meter reading, personnel costs, overhead, and so forth, as well as a return on investment. It typically includes a fixed monthly charge, which reflects the gas company's fixed costs, as well as a volumetric delivery charge. This portion of the total gas bill is determined by the PSC through its normal rate-making procedures. It is the second largest component of the gas bill, and its percentage varies with the size of the other components. The pipeline delivery cost reflects the cost of moving gas from the wellhead or the processing plant to the local distribution system. This is the smallest component of the total gas bill and is passed on directly to consumers through the gas cost adjustment. It's regulated by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which determines the rates that pipeline companies may charge. There is no markup and hence no profit for the local distribution company. It is passed through to customers on a dollar-for-dollar basis only. The wholesale cost of natural gas was once regulated by the federal government. Partial deregulation began in the 1970s during the energy crises of that time as a way of stimulating gas production. Deregulation was completed in 1993. Since then, the price of natural gas on the wholesale market has fluctuated with supply and demand. The wholesale cost of natural gas makes up the biggest portion of the retail gas price, about 2/3 the total, including the pipeline costs. It is passed through directly to consumers on a dollar-for-dollar basis via the Gas Cost Adjustment, or GCA. The Gas Cost Adjustment is also known as the PGA, or Purchased Gas Adjustment. It is a mechanism that allows local distribution companies to recover their wholesale costs and the cost of transporting that gas via interstate pipelines. It does not include a markup for the local distribution companies. The wholesale costs and pipeline costs are simply passed through on a dollar-for-dollar basis to the consumers. The gas cost adjustment is reviewed by the PSC for accuracy. Gas costs are typically adjusted on a quarterly basis looking forward 3 months. Thus, it is a prospective adjustment. That adjustment also includes a rolling adjustment for over or under recovery of costs in previous periods. In other words, because a utility company is never able to precisely predict what its gas costs are going to be in any given quarter, any excess that it collected from its customers is refunded back to those customers over the following 12 months. Similarly, if there was an undercollection from the customers, that undercollection is recovered from the customers over the next 12 months. Thus, in any given quarter, the gas cost adjustment provides a 12-month plus snapshot of conditions in the natural gas market. The gas cost adjustment includes all gas costs, whether that gas was purchased on the short-term or spot market, the long-term or futures market, or whether it is gas placed into storage and then withdrawn later for use. All gas costs are passed through to consumers on a strict dollar-for-dollar basis. Because the wholesale market is deregulated, the largest and most frequent changes in retail gas rates are due to those gas cost adjustments, which are driven by conditions in that unregulated wholesale market. So let's look at the way the natural gas market functions. The principal natural gas pipeline network in the eastern United States runs from the Texas Gulf Coast to the upper Midwest and the Northeast. This is the network that provides most of the gas for Kentucky. Gas produced in Kentucky is equal to about 1/3 of the gas consumed, but because of the location of gas fields in Kentucky and the pipeline network relative to where the customers are, most of the gas produced in Kentucky goes to customers to our northeast. Natural gas is bought and sold in a national market that has key regional differences, which reflect market conditions at various pipeline hubs where gas is delivered from producers to the interstate pipeline system. Natural gas is traded as a commodity, similar to corn, soybeans, gold, or gasoline, and thus prices are driven by market conditions. Natural gas is priced on either the spot market or the futures market. The spot market is a short-term price, in other words, gas for delivery tomorrow or the next day, and is generally priced at a delivery point, such as the Henry Hub, which is a pipeline terminal in Louisiana. The futures market, as the name implies, is a forward-looking market that prices gas for a set quantity at a set price on a set date that can be months or years in the future. The major market for futures trading of natural gas is the NYMEX, or New York Mercantile Exchange. The major factor determining natural gas supplies is domestic production. In recent years, domestic production has increased dramatically as new reserves have been discovered and new extraction technologies developed. Increases and declines in production typically lag somewhat behind increases and declines in demand. Until fairly recently, it was thought that the United States was about to become a major importer of liquefied natural gas from other gas-producing regions of the world. That has changed since the development of major new domestic production. In fact, some facilities that were originally constructed for import of liquefied natural gas are being considered for conversion into terminals that could be used to export liquefied natural gas. The second major supply factor is the amount of stored gas available at the start of the heating season. Gas is typically placed into storage from late April through early October. Adequate supplies of stored gas are essential because winter heating needs cannot be met solely with the gas that is being produced during the course of the heating season. As with other energy sources, demand for natural gas rises and falls with the overall economy. However, demand for natural gas is also highly seasonal because it is the principal heating fuel in the United States. Thus, winter usage is determined largely by weather conditions. In the past decade, natural gas has become increasingly important as a fuel for electric generation, largely because it creates fewer air emissions and thus more readily meets stricter air quality standards. Natural gas is used both to generate electricity to meet baseload or ongoing demand, and for peaking generation, which is used during times of high demand, typically during hot days in the summer. This has created a period of summer demand that has increased gas prices at a time when it is also being placed into storage for the winter heating season. Use of gas for industrial uses such as chemical feedstocks is the most sensitive to price fluctuations. Industrial usage has declined somewhat in recent years. The first years of this century saw increased demand for natural gas as well as increased production. Because of pipeline capacity constraints and other factors, demand sometimes outstripped supply, leading to increased price volatility. As noted earlier, increased use for electric generation drove up both demand and prices during the summer, thus diminishing the price differential between stored gas and gas produced during the heating season. This slide shows the wholesale gas price from the early 1990s when deregulation was completed through the present. There are three distinct price spikes in the last 10 years. The first, in late winter of 2001, was the result of a late winter cold snap that arrived when most stored gas had already been sent to market. This created shortages which led to a sharp increase in prices. The second spike was the product of supply disruptions caused by Hurricanes Katrina and Rita in the fall of 2005. The 2008 spike was a speculative bubble created by a flow of investment capital into commodities during the collapse of financial markets.